Right, guys, going on a road trip tomorrow, so I just thought I'd go through my thought process now, and maybe I can pass on a few tips about people trying who want to do road trips, because I'd promote road trips to anyone, especially in places like this, because there's not much traffic around the Balkans. I wouldn't do road trips in the UK, only maybe Scotland. Scotland's quite good for the road trips. You got to get the weather there. So yeah, the Balkans. This is road trip heaven, road trip country, and the scenery and the diversity of scenery. It's drop dead, and everything's quite close together. So like in 7 8 days now, up to 10, we're going to see 5 countries, and which are really quite different. Some are quite a little bit similar. Like Serbia is quite similar to Bulgaria. Not altogether, but like similar language, and but yeah, and we're going to see the coast. We're going to see the mountains. We're going to see the prairies or the steppes, and we're going to cross a load of borders. So here's the tips and tricks that I would say on these road trips. If anyone wants to do them, which I would highly, I would kind of. There's a great one. This one that we're doing now is a fantastic. You could include 2 more countries in this. We're already doing 5, and all in the space of a few 100 kilometres. And you could easily do it, no problem. On a 10 12 day trip, you could even include another country like Romania, which we're not going to, easily, depending on how far you want to go. And now you can do as much driving or as little driving as you want, really. Now I've persuaded my crew to have 2 night stops in 2 places, and we're doing the one night stops in 3 other places, I think, something like that. So because getting into the places can be a little bit tricky, I'll go into that in a minute, and also packing up, arriving, all the rest of it. Anyway, so first of all is get all your, if you're doing this kind of stuff around the Balkans, get everything organised. Get your documents organised. Get your passport to hand, but in a safe place. I wouldn't advise leaving the documents altogether after you cross the border. Everyone get their own documents back. Don't leave them in the car. When say you stop somewhere, that's the danger. If you put them all in the glove box, and then that everyone's documents are in the glove box, which is not a good scenario. So everyone make sure you got your documents back. And there's another thing there is, because the border guards, they sometimes pass them along. The two lots of border guards are in the one office, so the Bulgarians will be in the same office as the Macedonian border guards or whatever. Sometimes they're separate. Sometimes you'd have a no man's land, then another set of offices. But a lot of borders, they're in the same place, so they're passing all the documents between themselves. So when you get your documents back, it's a good check then. If you give them back to everyone in the car, then you make sure, because they fold them up into the passports and that. Like I've got they'll give me the driving license, and I've got an ID card as well. I've got a Bulgarian residency card, which I've got to give with my passport. And they kind of fold them up and give you them back, and they can't slip out. Anything can happen, or they can maybe misslave on us. There's 4 people in the car. It's a lot of little documents, including the car documents and everything. So have a document check. Make sure you've got your documents. Whenever you leave a hotel or apartment, have a document check. Whenever you leave, and credit cards as well, debit cards. Make sure you've got a tick box, a tick sheet in your head. That's what I do anyway, and it does work. And living proof, we have been caught out because people don't do it. And I insist now on everyone getting the documents out and looking at them. Because, you can think you've put it, did I put that in my bag? Did I do this? Did I do that? When you're in the car and you're going to go 500 kilometres, because it's a long way back if you haven't got your documents. And it happened to us. Our road trip manager thought he had his kind of Lichner card, which is passport really. And he didn't have it. He'd left it in the hospital. And luckily, just by pure chance, we were going to Romania, and the hospital was in the nearest city to the border. And it could have been 400 kilometres away, and that would have been like I would have gone back, and so we'd have had to go home, stay the night, and then set off again, because we'd have had to go past where we lived back to the hospital if we were going to go south. Anyway, so there's the proof that you need to do these document checks, and check you've got your debit cards. And another good one is if you've got 2 debit cards, put them in different places. Don't have them all in your little pouch. Just have one on your person, and you can always get out of trouble then. If you lose your bag or it gets snatched or whatever. That's normally you would 3 other people, so you've got cover there as well. So, but anyway, so that's the first one. All your documents, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of borders and a lot of stops in accommodation and that. That's another place, because they have documents. You need to give them your documents sometimes for the tourism forms and things like that, And sometimes they'd take them away and say, "I'll give you it back in the morning," And all of a sudden, everyone's in the car, and it can be overlooked. So you've got to check every time you set off. And I'll say that for years and years of long distance driving, and it works, And so that's the first one, and like the second one is kind of take your time. Do not rush. Do not make any sudden movements. And when everyone's in the car, make sure everything's in, and all the rest of it. It's like I know it's a bit like crusty uncle type advice, but it's good advice, especially when you're covering long distances and that. Now the other one is when you're booking. We use booking.com, right? Now I wouldn't book 5 days ahead or 7 days ahead, because you never know. You never know what might happen. Someone might get ill, problem with the car, problem on the border, if you lose your documents. So we only book the next place ahead, and then we always have like 3 earmark options. So say you get to the first accommodation, and then the next destination, you've got 3 options then, just earmarked. You've got the one that you want to book, and now if that's booked up, you need some other options, which on booking.com is easy. But with booking.com, especially in cities, they tend to like hide in keys in obscure places and in these key boxes, and they have codes for this, that, the other, and they don't send you the code until the day you're going to stay. And if you haven't got the internet, which sometimes we don't have, we're in the mountains, or whatever. Most of the people I go with don't even have iPhones or smartphones. They only have the Nokia things. So I always say to them ahead of time, if there's any codes or anything like that, and always get the phone number, because you can't retrieve that either if you haven't got the internet, for booking.com, because it'll be on an email or it'll be on the website, and you've got to log in. So if you haven't got the internet, you're knackered. And that's happened to me once or twice, because sometimes the roaming is difficult, in the certain places, and if you haven't got a signal or whatever. So I always get the phone number, so at least you can talk to them. And most of the time they speak English, or there's somebody nearby who can speak English, or, the son or the daughter or whatever. So that's very important. Get the details of the property and get the all the rest of it. Now you can save the email onto a file, onto a PDF, or from the website. Just save the page, so you've got it offline. So you can do that. That's what I'm doing now. So I've got it offline. So we only book, as I say, one night or one destination ahead, because if you book 5 ahead and you lose a day somewhere, you've all the 5. You're out of. You've booked 5 accommodations and all one day out. So we just don't do it. And booking.com's easy. So easy to book when you've got your account set up and all that. I've been using it for years. I'm a genius now. They call me a genius. The only people, booking.com, the only people who call me a genius. Which is it. It's quite good to be known as a genius somewhere. So that's what we do. We use booking.com. So there's the documents, and then the accommodation, and then you more or less. And also with only booking the accommodation, you can change your plans. If you really love somewhere, you can stay another night or whatever. Or if you see somewhere else, or the weather, there can be, at this time now, forest fires and heat waves, and you can change your plans. So that's another thing with the accommodation. So don't book ahead too far. Or you can do road trips if you're doing it as a holiday thing. You can make a base. You can actually stay somewhere like 4 days if you want, and radiate. It's still a road trip. You can radiate if it's an interesting area. You can do like a wheel, spokes. You can go each way you can every day. That's what we're going to do in Serbia. We're staying there for 2 nights, and we've got a few sightseeing places to explore from that place. And we've done the same before. But my road trip people, they like doing one nights, and I don't like it because you've got all the rigmarole. You've got to get everything out the car, unpack, set up the Wi-Fi, and if we're arriving at 6 p.m, and mainly for me, they're okay because they're not okay, but they're still tired. But like I've been driving all day, and you've got all this things to think about and get the Wi-Fi going, and it usually takes about 3 or 4 attempts to do that. I don't know why. With the new logons, it's always like a bit hit and miss to start with, and once you're on, you're on. But like, and you've got to maybe find a shop, and sometimes there isn't one, and you think there will be, and there isn't, and that kind of thing. So if you're doing the one night, and then you've got to get everything together in the morning, make sure that you've got your phone charger out of the plug. I don't know how many people leave phone chargers. I've done it once, I think, maybe twice, and because your mind's on the road, and then stuff in the fridge, because I freeze bottles, and you've got to think of all these things in the morning. And if you're moving every day, accommodation gets a bit tedious, I find, anyway, because I'm the driver, and I'm like thinking about getting the car organised and getting the sat nav set up and all the rest of it, and all the rest of the checks that I was talking about, all your documents, and if you're in somewhere for 2 nights, there's not as much pressure then on all these things, and you can put all the stuff in the fridge, out of we have a big cool box, so that's another thing. You've got to put all the stuff in the fridge and then get it all out again in the morning. I just find it, I don't do that. I've got our catering manager does that, if we've got one. We don't always have one. We have this time, and yes, and so that's another tip. Try do 2 night stays, or even 3, and have destinations to visit, or even have a rest day, which is unheard of for us. These people don't know what rest is, and because they want to see as much as possible, which is fair enough. It's a road trip. If it's a road trip, it's a road trip, isn't it? And if you want to rest, then go and have a sit down holiday, But our road trip manager, he said once, he said, "This, what you talking about? Holiday?" He said, "This isn't a holiday. It's an expedition." And we always say that now. He said, "Well, this isn't a holiday. It's an expedition." But so there's a few tips. And the other thing is, make sure you've got all your stuff that you need. If you have an accident or get stopped, your warning triangle. We've got to carry a lot more than you do in the UK, actually. Warning triangle. We've got to carry a fire extinguisher, high-vis vests. We've got a, first aid kit, and what else? That's about it, really. And I carry tyre weld, and I also carry a mini compressor to blow the tyre up if it's... Because sometimes you can get away with tyre weld. If you have a puncture, get away with tyre weld, and then you need to pump the tyre up again then. So I've got a compressor, and I also carry in my car, I'll take it this time, maybe, is a battery charger. And they're good things to take, and maybe some spare bulbs. That's another. You've got to carry them spare bulbs, which I've got. I've got some spare bulbs as well, and things like that. It's always handy. And I carry a machete as well. Just in case you're stuck in the forest. carry a machete, and I also carry a little length of bar, because sometimes if you've got these your wheels, it's hard to get the wheel nuts off when you're getting a bit older. So I have an extension bar for any spanners or anything. A little piece of metal, about a foot long. So there's another one. I'm full of little tips and tricks, and that's about it really. Apart from that, I mean, make sure you know the emergency numbers as well. I think all the Balkans is 112. I think it is. That's the general European one, actually. 112. Okay, hope that's useful, and I hope people try these road trips out, because you see a lot, and you can see how many holidays do you go on? We see 5 countries in 8 days. That's what we're doing. And this is road trip heaven, the Balkans, and there's no traffic. Except the odd city, you might get a little bit of traffic, but it's nothing like the UK, anything like stupid like that. Not even close. And if you pick the right routes, we're never ever in traffic. Never. Okay. I hope that's interesting to someone. Cheers.